Joining us today, Illmind, the incredible. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Dude, Justin, salute, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a while. Definitely miss you guys over there. Shout to you guys. And yeah, man, just happy to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we go way back to PNC Blap Radio.
Dude, oh my gosh. People don't even know the history, man. The podcast era, Combat Jack, rest in peace to Reg.
Rest in peace to Combat Jack, man.
Yeah.
That was a great special time, man. Big shout out to DJ Run P too, man.
Oh yeah, all day. A-King and the whole squad, man.
Everybody.
Pioneers, dude.
100%, man. So I want to talk to you today about your NFT endeavors. I think it's fascinating. And I also think there's a lot of murkiness about what an NFT is and what's happening in this space. So I want to, I appreciate you taking the time to help explain this whole thing to the audience.
Yeah.
So you've released, if I'm correct, you've created your own digital currency and you're selling NFT products that are connected to the blockchain. Now, how specific and layman can you explain what this is?
Okay, so I'll explain the two things separately. I'll explain the NFT thing and then I'll explain my cryptocurrency. So Perfect. First is NFT. So, at this point, if you're watching this interview and you're a music creator or an artist or a visual artist, the chances are you've heard of NFT. You might be confused about what it is. So I sort of have this like real simple, straightforward way of describing it. An NFT is basically a receipt. It's really just proof that something happened, right? I don't want to say proof that you own something, but more so proof that something happened. So just imagine a digital file, right? Whether it's an MP3 or a GIF or an image or a painting, whatever it is, like a digital file that lives on the internet and on a computer. So let's say I create a song for you, Justin, right? You're my boy, so I make a song dedicated to you. And I produce it, I'm rapping on it, everything. So then what I do is I take that MP3 and I send it to you, right? I email it over to Justin at your email address. So in that transaction, basically, just imagine that transaction happening, but just imagine all of the information being recorded on what's called a blockchain, right? So everything from time I created the MP3, right? What email address did I send it to? Who did I send it to? What's that person's full name? What's that person's email address? What time did they receive it? Did they download the file? Did they listen to the file? So all of this information is being recorded and stored on this sort of blockchain that's public, which means that people can see where this file has been, who created it, where how much it was sold for, if it was sold for anything, and vice versa. So it's really powerful because what that allows for us to do is keep track of authentic ownership and authentic digital files, and really be able to track where the original files come from to see if they're authentic, as opposed to, let's say that same song that I sent to you, Justin, let's say someone hacked, me or you, and they got access to the same exact MP3. Well, people might say, well, what happens if people, try to pirate the files? Well, they could, and that's fine, but they wouldn't be able to prove ownership and they wouldn't be able to prove the authenticity of those files because they don't have their information attached to the blockchain, the receipt. And so that's why this is so powerful, and that's why you're starting to see one-of-one NFT sales happening, and people are really doing interesting things with the NFT space. And that's exactly what I did with my sample packs is, being in this drum kit sample pack space, digital space for so long, I just kind of put two and two together, and it's allowing for people like me and other producers and creators to use this technology to be able to transfer files in an authentic way.
Oh, that's dope. That's really dope. So are you currently selling your sample packs and your beat packs through the blockchain right now?
So as of right now, Well, the short answer is no. Right now, all of my drum kits and sample packs are still being sold on blapkits.com the way that they've been since 2011. But I am going to make available, some newer stuff in the form of NFT and blockchain technology. And I'm, currently working on like a whole revamp and rollout for all that stuff. And that kind of segues into my cryptocurrency, Blapcoin. So essentially what it is, not to get too complicated on it, but basically I partnered up with this company called Rally.io, and they've figured out a way to develop the technology for creatives to create what's called a creator coin, right? So if you are an influencer or an artist or someone who's building your own economy, such as myself, you can work with them to create your own coin, which is basically a coin that is governed under the Rally coin, which is RLY, Rally coin, which lives on the Ethereum blockchain, right? The ERC20. And I know to some of you guys watching this right now that might sound like super foreign, but basically what that means is it's a real currency. So it's based on real money, and you can do cool things with it. And the whole purpose of me starting my own cryptocurrency is to take all of these different things that I've been able to build over the years, the drum kits, the sample packs, the one-on-one consultations, the course, the studio sessions, and everything that I've been able to do, the monthly club. And I'm able to take my ecosystem and have everything live under this one umbrella, which is the coin. So now what you're able to do is you're able to purchase the Blap coin and redeem it for all of these different things that I've been offering for, almost a decade. So it's allowing for me to streamline everything into one thing. And it's really just a way for us to just build and connect my community that I'm building. And I'm so stoked about it. It's like only the beginning stages, but as the months and years go by, you're really going to start to see it evolve. And I'm just so excited to just roll out more stuff.
That's dope. When did you partner with, is it Rally.io? When did you first partner with them? How long ago?
So literally this happened quick. I partnered with them. I started talking to them around January, I want to say this year, maybe February. And it just happened quick. It was, I caught wind of it, and I was sort of thinking about where my sort of career was headed and like all the things that I wanted to start building for the future in the 2020s. And having a creator coin and having, my own cryptocurrency just like made so much sense for what I've been doing. And it was almost like the solution I never knew I needed. And so I jumped, head first, and it's only been a week, honestly, since the coin launched, and the feedback has been incredible. So.
Now you mentioned that your coin is under Rally.io, which is in the Ethereum blockchain. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Ethereum, the Ethereum blockchain, do you have to mine for Ethereum? Meaning, certain coins like Bitcoin, for example, people are mining for them, going through the algorithm, and whenever they strike one, the more time that people do that, the more rare it becomes to complete the algorithm, which increases the value of Bitcoin, right? Is that similar? Is Ethereum on the blockchain as well, as far as you know? The reason I say is because you mentioned that Ethereum is based on real money, and some cryptocurrencies they are treated like securities or stocks, meaning they're only as valuable as the company is, but there is a distinction between the two, between blockchain and otherwise.
Yeah, so in terms of my sort of like expertise on like mining and blockchaining, I'll be honest with you, like I'm still learning the complexity of mining. And I think there's a lot of confusion behind it, especially the conversation of like, it's bad for the environment and all this stuff. And, I try not to get too into the politics of that stuff, but so it's very limited in terms of like what I can say about mining and blockchain and ERC20. But what I do know is that the Rally coin is lives on ERC20. So whatever governs ERC20 and the functionality of it is conducive to how Rally, is governed as well. But essentially, my coin is designed for my fans to be able to interact with me, interact with each other, and redeem those coins for all these cool things that I've been doing. And that's really like my mission for the Blap coin currency. I even like to put, softly announced the fact that like you can buy a beat now from me. Like I haven't sold a beat since 2013, meaning I haven't publicly said, hey, pay me X amount of money and you can get an Illmind beat. Like I stopped doing that back in, I think it was 2012. And since 2012, for me, it's just been every placement I've gotten or every person I've worked with has always been sort of like a mutual thing where it's like, hey, let's work. I fuck with you, you fuck with me, and let's make some music. So I've kind of opened up the floodgates of, hey, if you're an artist and you see value in an Illmind beat and you want me to produce a song for you, you can finally like purchase one. And you can now do it with a Blap coin, So those are the types of things that I'm doing with my coin, is being able to offer different services and products and ways to engage with me and my community, and for my community to be able to engage with each other. And that's the sort of the whole point of the Blap coin.
Where can people get a Blap coin? Is there an exchange there's Rally.io and also an exchange? You can go there and you can take money in your bank account, put it into that exchange, and then they'll give you coins.
Yes. So everything lives on Rally.io. Okay. So it's very easy to use. You just go to Rally.io and you create an account. It's a free account, and you can use debit, credit to purchase coins, and you can choose which creator coins you want to purchase. And it's that simple. You can even use cryptocurrency. So if you currently hold some crypto, they also accept most major cryptocurrencies to be able to purchase, some of the creator coins as well. But to make it super easy, if any of you guys want to, check out the Blap coin and get a little bit more educated on what it is and how to like interact with my community with it, I set everything up on my website. So you just have to go to illmindproducer.com and everything is on the homepage. There's a bunch of links and Q&As and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think, I've been fortunate. I covered the cryptocurrency space a couple of years ago for essentially a crypto company based out of Korea. And they had a entertainment arm that they built. And so they were trying to find ways to create content around the burgeoning space. And I remember them talking about NFTs then, but it was so niche, so small, and it was so far away from my understanding. Apparently there was a community that would share these digital cats that were super rare. And it was almost like Pokemon cards in a way, or something like that, and how rare some of these things were. So when you sell a beat, let's say, since you've opened the floodgates for selling a beat now, only one person can buy that beat, but that person can also sell or trade that beat if they want to. Is that correct? I mean, just logically speaking, could they say, hey, I have the digital receipt for this beat. Would you like this one-of-one exclusive Illmind beat? And could they make a profit potentially if that's the case?
That's such an interesting thing you bring up. And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, they can. I mean, essentially, as a music producer, when I work with someone, the idea is that that person is an artist and they do vocals, they sing, they rap, and I produce a song for them and it's their song, right? But what you're saying is, can someone purchase an Illmind beat and maybe they're not an artist, they purchase it and then they can sort of resell it on the aftermarket? And yeah, the answer is yes, they totally could. I mean, what they're paying for is my services for exclusive rights to a beat that they could monetize. And 9 times out of 10, it's monetized through an artist being an artist and then releasing a song and performing it and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, you can certainly get creative. If you want to take an Illmind beat and do something cool with it, you totally could.
And let's say you've worked with everybody. You've worked with Skyzoo, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Drake, Hit Boy. You work with everybody, right? Guap Dad 4000. I love that project. The thing. So let's say, let's say Drake, hypothetically speaking. Let's say he decides, you know what? I'm going to purchase an Illmind beat through the blockchain, right? He makes a song and he puts it out, and then he says, you know what? Now, since it's now a Drake Illmind beat that was sold through the blockchain or sold as an NFT, and he wanted to sell it and the price really goes up, could a person use the beat and then potentially sell it at the same time, theoretically?
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to depend on what's agreed upon in the transaction, obviously in the music business, when you sell a beat to someone, you have the whole exclusive thing, not exclusive. Am I getting royalties? How many points am I getting on the song? So like, essentially, if this is a Illmind beat that will be released as a song, there's going to be some type of negotiation that's going to have to happen. The blockchain will prove purchase and ownership, but the question is, how deep is that ownership, and what can they do and what can they not do, right? Like if I win a Beeple piece of artwork and I spend $15 million on it, I own it, but am I allowed to like put an Illmind tag on top of it and then resell it? That's where it gets a little
That's where it's
blurry.
I think the space is still being defined in that way.
Yeah, it really absolutely still being defined. It's an ethical thing. It's a copyright thing. So I think we're all figuring it out in real time. I don't know if there's any hard, concrete rules yet. So, this whole space is still being developed, and it's going to take for someone to be in the forefront and try stuff, and someone's going to have to screw up at some point for us to learn, the right or wrong way to do something. Hopefully not too bad, but that's sort of the nature of this. It's all very volatile. That's what we have to remember, is all of this is still very volatile and early.
I have one more hypothetical in this direction, because this is where I think it's really fascinating, what you're doing with your coin and with your NFTs. All right, so you put together one of my favorite products under the Illmind empire, the Blap empire, was the Blap events, the Beats Love Alcohol Party, where you would have producers come up and it would be a beat battle. And a lot of those beats were exclusive beats, never heard before beats, right? And there was one really big viral moment, right, where there was a producer who played a beat and Dr. Dre was there. And Dr. Dre walked in and said, "Yo, that's my beat." And he got mad, right? Okay, that was an amazing moment. That was out in LA, right? Yeah. Now that beat particularly, let's say whether it's Dr. Dre or whether, I can't think of the other producer's name, no disrespect, but let's say the other producer, one of the two, says, "Hey, this is that beat that Dr. Dre got mad at me about," or Dr. Dre said, "This is the beat that I had to call out that kid about," right? And he sold that as an NFT, right? Is there in that regard, right? To me, that looks more like a collector's item than it does something I would necessarily think a buyer would want to put out in the commercial market to sell as a song, right? In that situation, like, do you see the space moving in that direction, broadly speaking and consistently, with beats like that, right? Let's take, I'm not, there's let's take that model and put it next to Speakers on Blast. We'll just use that one for an example. Okay. Say you guys who got together and said, "Hey, this is Speakers on Blast. This is clearly our song, but this is the only time we're ever going to sell this beat for other people to use." But you could only sell it as a commercial, as a collector's item. You couldn't resell it there. Do you see value in the NFT space as a collector's item, approach to the products that you're selling, away from, just, for aspiring artists?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, I think that every NFT in a way is a collector's item because it's a moment in history. It's something that hasn't been done, right? My sample pack that I released, Elorium, that like kicked all of this off, it didn't sell for $1 million, but it sold for basically 5,000 times the amount that that product is supposed to sell for. And it was a one of one. And so one can say that that melody sample loop pack that I put out is a collector's item, but can also be used in the way that it was designed to be used, which is, let me make a beat from it and sell it in the aftermarket and make it a music thing. So I think that's what's interesting about this space, and kind of what I'm doing is there's multiple ways that you could look at these NFTs, and it's really just conducive or dependent on the owner and the buyer, you know. And maybe it's a whale collector who just like really loves this space and just wants to collect stuff, and maybe it's an artist who really wants an Illmind beat, right? So I think there's no right or wrong. I think this can live in both ways and be considered both things. And going back to the Dre example of that particular beat, yeah, I think that is definitely a collector's. You know, I mean, I don't really see someone kind of like buying that and wanting to like make it into a song. I mean, you could, but like that's a moment. That's a moment in history. That's a collector's item, and that's valued, right? And so I think there's more value in looking at these digital assets as collectors or as collectible items, because essentially they are, right? Yeah.
Do you remember any other quote unquote gold rush? I feel like this is an NFT gold rush that's happening in a macro way right now. Do you remember any other moment in music history that feels like this? The closest thing I can think of is Napster. I remember when Napster came out, and now everybody on both sides wanted to make streaming platforms, and the other side, everybody was ready to steal all the music. But that's the closest thing that I can remember. Does anything else come to mind that's similar?
Yeah, I agree with you on Napster, 100%. That whole like Napster era was just like insane, such a transition. But one other sort of gold rush, not as big as Napster and not as commercial, but I will say that the next or another gold rush that I can think of, and this is directly related to what I do, is the drum kit, you know, digital drum kit sample pack ecosystem. You know, that was more, it's more of a niche thing, but definitely a gold rush nonetheless, because it's at this point, it's a multi-million-dollar a year ecosystem in business. And you have companies like, you know, Splice and big audio companies that are really aggressive in the space and doing great things in the space. And, you know, when I first put out my drum kit in 2011, it didn't really exist. I mean, it was there, and I definitely wasn't the first one to like put a drum kit out, but I was definitely there, and I was definitely one of those producers that like helped, you know, make it okay, right? This is okay. You can do this. You can make a bunch of drum sounds and put them in a zip file, and you can sell it for $20 and sell it on PayPal. Like, you know, no one else did that, right? And so after that, it created this huge gold rush, man. Like, you know, not to put my business out too much, but like that first few years, you know, I went from like doing decent in music and like, you know, barely sort of making it and doing okay, to all of a sudden like, whoa, like I can kind of splurge a little bit because like this is pretty lucrative. And so that was definitely a more of like a music producer creative gold rush. And it's just it's gone on to do amazing things like ever since. So that would be the other one that I see. And now we're fusing both together. So now it's like on another level.
It's another level. It really is. Am I wrong, or is there a philanthropic connection that you have with your currency and with your NFTs?
Yeah. So, man, I went to the Philippines in 2020, last year, in January. So this was right before pandemic. And I got flown out there to film this Netflix special with this comedian, Joe Coy. Good friend of mine, hilarious, you know, comedian, really amazing person. And he filmed, you know, a Netflix special out there called In His Elements. And he flew me out to film the music portion of it, which basically I get into a studio with some upcoming, you know, Filipino producers and artists, and we, you know, create a song from scratch. And it was such a fun time. It really put the battery in my back to just be back home in the Philippines. You know, I was born in America. My parents were born in the Philippines, and that was only my third time being back home in the Philippines. And I was there for 10 days. And one of my days off, I was like walking around, driving around the city and some of the different, you know, provinces. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing like people that look just like me, you know, like a guy that's like standing in the corner with a fruit basket, you know, just trying to bring home food for his family. And then another guy hanging out, no shirt, sitting on a crate playing guitar. And then there's another guy in front of, you know, a bank, just like a security guard. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, if my parents never moved to America, I could have been one of those guys. I could have been just, you know, a Filipino in the Philippines trying to provide for his family and do his thing and try to, you know, do the best he can. And it made me realize how blessed I am to be American and to just be born here and to you know, really have a shot at the American dream. And I was able to do that through music, through something I love, which is very, very rare for a lot of people, especially Filipinos. Not too many of us in here. So that coupled with doing this Guap Dad 4000 album, you know, Chicken Adobo, people are loving it. And Guap Dad is half Filipino, half Black. So like me and him connected on that deep level, and people are loving the album, and we're so appreciative of that. So this sort of combination of like, hey, Illmind, you're Filipino, you know, it's time to really start putting energy and engaging with your people and the community. And I always felt like I never was ready to do that because I never felt like I had enough momentum or enough of a voice to really create an impact. And now today, this year, 2021, I feel like I have enough of a voice to really step up and make a real change. So a portion of all of my Blap coin, whatever I make, is going to SaveTheChildren.org to help kids out there hopefully live a better life. And I'm dropping an NFT with an amazing, amazing visual artist, Andre O'Shea. I don't know if you guys see this and it might be out yet, but a portion of the proceeds of those NFTs are going to go to the Philippines as well. So all these things that I'm doing, man, like I really just want to start incorporating, you know, my roots into what I do, and we'll just see what the future holds. But I'm excited to really start being aggressive about it.
Man, that's really powerful, man. Congratulations, sincerely.
Thank you, dude.
You know, I mean, just I can relate to that feeling of not feeling like you're ready or you have enough or you have a loud enough voice. And it's really inspiring to hear you describe your experience.
Yeah, I mean, look at this green screen with all these fake plaques. I mean, I have to do something.
Right. Oh man, you know, I think this whole space is super exciting and it's super opaque at the moment. But I also don't feel like we're very far away from this being how the standard for transactions in general, blockchain related coins. Like, I mean, they've been trying to get rid of the penny forever. They've been trying to get rid of the penny forever. You know what I mean? You know, they've been trying to get rid of the dollar. They wanted us to use the Pocahontas coin.
Yeah.
And Americans were like, no, we don't want more coins.
And listen, not to speculate, and this is me not knowing anything. I mean, but there's a world where that could happen. You know, I mean, who knows where the dollar will be or where the financial system will be. So hopefully someone figures it out so that we're not all scrambling and screwed over, you know?
I think we're really close. Like, I do everything I can not to have to touch cash. One, I don't want COVID. Two, my iPhone says I can just double click on the side and and I don't even I don't have to pull out my debit card anymore.
Yo, speaking of cash, I saw this tweet this morning. I don't know if you saw it, and I retweeted it from Sledge. He was like, all y'all that post a video and pictures of you with the stacks of cash, he's like, how are y'all getting the cash? Are you going to the bank? Are you getting paid in like suitcases of cash? Like, what's going on? And I retweeted it. I was like, I always wondered that. Like, are you like going to the bank and falling in line and then talking to a teller and saying, and filling out the withdrawal form before you do the photo shoots. It's like, how, or are you being sent money through Western Union? Like, what's the deal? You know what I mean?
Right.
I always wonder too. It's jokes, low key, because a lot of my friends like do it, and like I think it's, it's cool, but like I always, like, on some joke shit, I always wonder, like, how did you guys get that cat? Like, did you fall in line at Bank of America, dude? Like,
right. Did you have a handcuffs on your suitcase when you was walking out?
Yeah.
That seems risky.
I'm pretty sure the ATM limit is $500.
Right. You driving around town hitting up all the ATMs. I mean, but I feel like we're so much closer, and I think, closer to a cashless society in general.
Yeah.
And I saw an article yesterday, or headline yesterday. I can't say I read the article, so the headline yesterday. And they said the value of the cryptocurrency space, the total value, is larger than the total value of the US economy right now. Like, globally, comparison, it's huge.
I mean, think about it. And again, let me preface, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not giving financial advice right now. But my opinion and my observation is, the value of the dollar is decreasing every year, especially after this huge bailout. The value of it is decreasing. So, if you make $1,000 per month in 2021, chances are, if your salary doesn't change, that $1,000 won't be $1,000 anymore in 2022. And when you think about, having money in the bank or holding cash, like what we were joking about, it's literally depreciating over time. It's not an asset that you want to necessarily hold on to, right? And then you look at Bitcoin, where the value of Bitcoin is increasing, something like a few 100% every year. So it's like, are you going to put it in something that's decreasing, or are you going to put your money into something that's like drastically increasing over time? And that's the question you want to ask yourself, So I think that's like an important thing we all got to think about.
You mentioned your first beat pack that you sold, on PayPal. You gave a $20 anecdote, being early in the space in 2011. Do you have how long did it take for that first beat? Or I guess the question is, did that actually sell? Like, the first beat pack you sold, do you know who bought it? That's a great NFT.
Honestly, the very, 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 very first beat that I technically sold, meaning I got money for it, was from this artist Acrobatic back in 2002, 2003, when I was posting up on undergroundhiphop.com. Through a good friend of mine, Slop, I had met Acrobatic. And at the time, he was an independent artist. Like, he wasn't a nobody. And I have so much respect for him. And we did a song called Remind My Soul. And I think I got paid like $150 or something. But I was super stoked, and it was like a life-changing thing for me. So that was technically the first one. But I'll be honest with you, I don't remember who like the first random underground rapper to email me and say, hey, I want to buy a beat, and then actually purchase one. So I don't remember which one. That got me thinking, I need to go back to my emails, my AOL account, if I can still break into it, remember my password, because I'm sure I could find it through my AOL account. But yeah, man, that was a long time ago, so I don't remember.
I definitely think this space is ripe for a resellers market and a collectors market in a very, very special way.
Absolutely.
I do want to ask you a couple of questions just about you and your journey, if you still have a little bit more time.
Yeah, I'm chilling.
But you worked with Jay-Z and Beyonce, and you also worked with Lin-Manuel on the Hamilton project. What stands out to you when you think about, your first beat you sold in 2002 to Acrobatic to where you are now? Like, when you think about your personal highlights, or you trace your steps backwards, what feels pivotal?
It's really crazy, because every year since 2003 or 4, whatever year that I decided to like really go full time and be a producer, every year there was one thing that was pivotal enough for me to say, okay, this is worth it. Let me keep going. And it started, and sometimes it was something really small, you know. And I had recently posted up sort of like a visual timeline of some of my accomplishments that I've really been proud of since 2002, 2003. And when I look at that timeline, I'm realizing, you know, just how long certain things take, right? Like, I didn't start to make real money. Like, my real breakthrough, honestly, was probably 2012, right? So that's, you know, about 8 years, 9 years in, until I finally got like at least something that was tangible, meaning this is a big enough placement. I can sign a big enough publishing deal that could really change my life. And that's not to discredit all the other stuff that I did beforehand. All of those little things led to the bigger things. So I think that's what I want to say is really the big lesson that I learned in all of this is those small little wins are all sort of leading you up to the bigger ones. And you have to take those small wins, be appreciative of them, keep going, and realize that they all sort of add up and they're all preparing you for the bigger one. And then when you hit that bigger one, it just snowballs from there. And then years later, you realize that that big one back then wasn't even really that big compared to where you are now, right? So it's a snowball effect. And as long as you keep going and you stay true to your craft and what you want to do, it's just going to keep snowballing. And, you know, knock on wood, I think, you know, I'm on track for doing that, and I'm looking forward to the future.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was the moment in 2012 that you referenced?
So the 2012 moment was producing a song for Kanye, right? Producing The Morning on the Good Music Cruel Summer album, and like everyone was on it. I mean, Kid Cudi, Pusha T, 2 Chainz, Kanye, Sci-Hi, Common, Raekwon. I mean, like, it was the craziest posse cut ever. And like it went from like Illmind, produced for Sky Zoo, Little Brother, you know, 50 Cent, Helter Skelter, to Common and Kanye, you know, and then all with one song. And you know, I had all these publishers starting to call me and offer me like different bags, and it just kind of opened up the door for me, man. I felt like that. I honestly felt like a caterpillar, like breaking out of the shell finally, and like finally turning into a butterfly. And it's like, okay, I'm like finally like low key, like in the big leagues now, and I can start like my journey here. So that was a big moment for me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you in the studio with when you were working with Jay-Z and Beyonce?
I was not. No, I wish I was. They were very, very, you know, secretive about that whole process. I mean, rightfully so. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I honestly would have wanted to if I had the chance, because it's like I don't want that, like, I don't want that smoke. You know what I mean? Of like, hey, what are they working on? What are you doing? Like, I don't want to be responsible for anything. So like, hey, you guys do your thing. I'll be over here. Right? You guys have fun over there. Much respect, but I don't want that smoke. But no, like, you know, I was just basically working with Boy Wonder, and he was sending tracks over to him, and you know, one of them caught, and that was that. So
yeah. I feel like TDE is another crew that does a really great job of keeping their movements internal, you know, and you know, I know you were called to one of their sessions that I think you referred to it as something you didn't tell anybody about. If you can now, what was that session like? I know you mentioned Absol was there. And...
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It was in 2019. It was October 2019. You know, Top and all those guys had rented a studio space for I think like a month or something, and you know, there was like 6 or 7 rooms. It was very similar to the Dreamville sessions, which I was at as well. And you know, there was producers, there was songwriters. You had Sir in there, and Zakari had a room, and Soul had a room, and Reason, and different, you know, TDE artists in and out. And it was fun. It was a creative experience. I was out there, you know, working with some producers, and and collaborating on a bunch of shit. And there's, you know, me and Zakari have like some unreleased stuff, and I got a lot of unreleased stuff with them that haven't seen the light of day. But that experience was great. It was just great to kind of like bond and be in the room with, I always love being in the room with other creative people in that capacity. It's a shame because it's like, that was like a few months before, you know, the pandemic, and you know, it made me realize, like, when I go back and replay those moments in the studio, I'm like, damn, we had it good before pandemic. Like strolling in, no mask, like doing the daps and not having to worry. And, you know, it was a great time, man. It was a fun time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on being a new father as well.
Thank you, man.
When people talk about that, they talk about how their life seems to change in an instant. Did you have that moment? Did it feel that way?
Oh yeah, your life just turns upside down for the better. You realize some of the things that you used to worry about just aren't relevant. You know, you realize sort of the important things in life, and it definitely gives you that sense of like, hey man, like the stakes are higher. You better make sure this kid is good, you know? Yeah, it's an eye opener, and it's such a blessing, you know, to kind of like see a mini me. It's very surreal, and for me, it's, you know, it's only been 5 weeks for my wife and I. And, you know, it's an ongoing sort of process where you figure it out, but we're having a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. Are you sleeping through the night? Is she sleeping through the night yet?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? We'll be lucky to get 3 hours in, 2 hours. So that's one of the big adjustments with having a kid, is like, get ready to not sleep. But it's all worth it at the end.
The first beat I ever heard you on, I think it was on the Chitlin Circuit mixtape. I think that was it, right? That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I look at, you know, where Little Brother is now, particularly where you are now, where Ninth is now, you know, Hunte, and to me that is just a really inspiring story in a lot of ways, you know, and how that tree has branched off so powerfully. I mean, look at what Rhapsody's done and doing, you know, everybody has, you know, collaborated with Jay-Z at this point. And it felt like such an underground niche, you know, inside secret kind of project at that time. And, you know, it's just a real honor and a privilege to see, you know, you guys literally change the world and affect the world through your music at the same time. You know what I mean? It's really dope.
Thank you, man. And sometimes I forget, like, sometimes I can't believe that I was part of that. Like, even just a little bit, you know, like, I have so much respect for Tay, Pooh, and Ninth and the whole squad. Like, you know, you remember when Ninth was in the Black Album documentary, and we're like, yo, there's Ninth Wonder with FL Studio. You know, like, I'll never forget those moments, and just even all the little in between things, like being on AIM, right? And I remember being on AIM, and like I would, you know, come back to the crib and jump on AIM after being away, and I would see, like, you know, 10 Ninth Wonder beats just like on my desktop, because me and Ninth used to just send each other beats randomly. And I used to do the same thing with Crisis and all those guys. So definitely simpler times. I really, you know, have so much respect for them. And I was just honored to just be part of that legacy. So.
Well, I have one more question. It's the question I close with. Was there anything else you want to share, you want to clarify, you want to let the audience know before we wrap up here?
Man, just, you know, shout to you guys. Shout to everyone who's supported me, you know, since whenever you got jumped in, you know, and I'm just super appreciative to just continue to do all this for, you know, my fans and supporters and fellow creators. You know, I always just want to try to move things forward, and I'm always going to try things, and not everything is going to work, but I'm always going to be up there, you know, trying to not predict, but really trying to, you know, push what we're trying to do forward, as long as what we're doing is helping each other and inspiring each other. And that's what I want to continue to do.
All right, my last question is, with everything that you've seen and everything that you've experienced, from Little Brother to Lin-Manuel, Hamilton, from Napster to NFTs, what still surprises you about hip hop?
The way that hip hop evolves, when you think you've heard it all, you're wrong. you know, for every, you know, trend or thing that catches on, you're gonna have something else pop up that innovates, that makes you think. I mean, being a producer, it makes you say to yourself, fuck, I wish I thought of that first. So, and you do that through hip hop, right? And it's so fun to watch, man. And it's so exciting. You know, I almost look at the landscape as like, as I have the luxury of being a music producer, meaning like, I can do this forever. I could, you know, scope the landscape and develop artists and try new things with sound. And that's my job. And so when I see other people doing it and I see someone pushing the sound forward, it's always so inspiring to watch and be inspired by. And that's my favorite part about hip hop, is just seeing hip hop infiltrate all these different things, aspects in life, and hip hop being such a big part of all of our lives. And then seeing people push it forward and innovate is so special. So that's currently my favorite thing about hip hop, is just like the forward progression nature of it.
Well, llmind, I appreciate you, man. Congratulations. I think this is just really powerful stuff, especially with the Save the Children aspect of it. It's great to see you at the point where you feel comfortable giving back in a bigger way. And so thanks for being a friend for all these years. And I appreciate the conversation.
Justin, likewise, man. Anything you need, you already know I got you. And looking forward to, you know, everything that's going to happen in the future, man. So.
Fair enough. All right, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, bro. Later. Peace.